Farrell's Nerd. I'm your host, Chris Farrell, joined today by two of my best and oldest friends, Clint.
Hey, Chris.
And Mike.
Hey, now.
All right, guys. Today, we got The Boys coming out September 4th. Pumped up about this. A lot of trailers out there to talk about. What are you guys thinking?
I can't fucking wait.
Yeah.
You can see in the background there, but I got a very special Boys poster hanging right on my wall that I give it a kiss every morning when I come into my office.
Just before we jump into this, can I say something on the creation of The Boys? You know Garth Ennis created The Preacher, too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely,
Like,
man.
that dude's a genius. It's like two of my favorite comic series is right outside of the Marvel and DCU.
Yeah.
You know, The Preacher and The Boys. Garth Ennis responsible for both of them. I'm just so impressed by the representation of, like, you know, how The Preacher was done. Just a really great representation of that comic. And I mean, we've all seen The Boys season 1, and damn, did they do a killer job, you know?
Fucking great. Absolutely. One of the best TV shows I've ever seen in my life, especially when I remember when it first came out, I called Mike and I was like, hey, do you really think they're going to do the A-Train thing? You know, like, spoiler alert, you know, are they going to do the very first scene in the movie or the show should be the scene from the book where, you know, he's staring deeply into his girlfriend's eyes and A-Train just fucking blows through him and turns her to red mist? Like, if they do that, I'm like, I'm totally in. And I'll be damned, it's like the first 10 minutes of the movie, I was like, holy shit, that's amazing.
And sure enough, he was holding those dismembered arms.
Had her arms right in front of him. Started crying.
Yeah. Whoever's keeping this thing, you know, smooth on the tracks is doing a great job because how this is very edgy material. But
right, like I never would have thought in the climate we have right now with what's going on that they would be able to pull a show off like this. But the perfect thing about The Boys is they can take this extremely edgy material that everybody else would shun away from, but they can spin it into making a point. You may be upset in the beginning, but by the end you're like, oh, they were saying that racism is stupid. Like, you know, they have a way of doing it.
That's how they get away with it, right? It's just you put some capes on some people, get away with any of the shit you want to do, right?
Right, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So the Because Nerd plan, the mantra going forward is put some capes on, we can do whatever the fuck we want. So
bust out the old bathroom towel and my safety pin like I used to do when I was a kid.
There you go. Perfect. Absolutely.
So what have we seen? I mean, so there's a lot of stuff in these trailers. Like this, season 1, I mean, was pretty over the top. It looks like they went ahead and doubled the size of the container at this point. There, this season is going to really, fucking go out there. I mean, just some of the scenes of how much fucking Homelander's cutting people down with lasers. There's the really awesome scene where he like grabs the dude's head, he grabs him in the mouth and like splits his head open even, and that's just shit we've seen in the trailer already.
Or even the clip where he's in like an office thing and there's a like 2-3 soldiers lined up and the one soldier in the middle, and he just looks at the dude and slits him down the middle with his eyes.
And I froze the screen. I like literally paused the screen to kind of go back and go like, oh my god, did it? And when you pause the screen, you see it in every gory perfect detail. The dude's head splits, and there's also a scene where he's outside by a wall and it's Homelander's gauntlet, his hand. But there's a guy against the wall, and you see his head just get smushed and then blow up into red mists onto the wall. There's a lot of really cool stuff that I've seen that I've been kind of paying attention to. There's a quick scene where they're having a funeral for Translucent, and it's literally a see-through coffin with nothing in it. And you're like, that's pretty fucking awesome. And there's already talks of season 3 has already been greenlit, and they're going to tackle Herogasm. So I don't know if you guys saw that or not. It was kind of recent.
Shit.
Actually,
but they're going to tackle Herogasm.
That brings me to a thought that I've had on this whole thing, right? Like, is one, when you're watching The Boys, if you haven't read the comic books, it's got to be just a trip to watch it, like, without any background, right? Because, like, you know, we've read all the comics, so basically that always keeps me like anticipating, like, holy shit, are they going to do that? You know,
right.
Are they going to? Because, man, as the comics go on, it just gets more and more fucked up as it goes on.
Worse and worse.
You think season 1 had some crazy shit? The source material has a buttload of crazy shit that they could get to. And Herogasm's one of them. So it was like, are they going to get to Herogasm? And even in these is like, are the boys going to take the V? Are they going to get, you know, they take the V?
Is it going to be just the female, or are they going to get it too? Because then you've got a bunch of other powers showing up in there, which I'm curious to see. Are they going to bring in other characters from like Payback and some of the other teams within the Boys universe? Because in the comics, there's a fuck ton of teams. There's, you know, multiple superhero teams, like just like in the regular comics, Avengers, X-Men, you know, New Mutants, whatever. But I'll tell you what's cool though is they mention it. I thought in one of the trailers here. You guys know who Tech Knight is, right? Have you heard of Tech Knight in The Boys?
I have. How many times to tell you I read the comics? We read them. We read them together.
No, well, it's for the listeners. Goddammit, you know.
Yeah, go ahead. Help us out here.
There's a comic book. There's a character in The Boys called Tech Knight, and he's kind of like a Bruce Wayne / Tony Stark character, where he's got like a mech suit and he's got a lot of money and he builds his own suits and stuff. And one of the, if you read his IMDb, is Tech Knight is a normal guy with a suit who can really only fly when he's in space. Like, he's pretty fucking terrible. And I think he dies early on. In the first season, they mentioned Tech Knight. You know who's going to play Tech Knight? He's slated to play Tech Knight if you look at the IMDb.
I do.
Patton Oswalt. He's going to be fucking Tech Knight.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
one of
awesome.
my favorite comedians of all time, dude. I fucking love Patton Oswalt. So like, it just keeps getting better, man. Every time I hear about it, it gets better and better.
So let's see. We got a couple things going on. Like, what do you think the deal between? So they've changed up Stormfront. I know from the comics, because it used to be more of a kind of a Captain Marvel, like DC's version, or Shazam.
He was like Hitler Shazam, basically, is what he was.
Yeah,
But he was like a wide amalgam of like Shazam and Thor, and super powerful though. He super high level powered.
And he's actually slated to be the number one the number one hero that ever got the V treatment, right? So he is is number one. Created him many years ago during the Nazi trials, and then as a kid shipped him off to the United States. So I do like what they're doing with it, and they're kind of giving her a couple things I read, right? So Black Noir doesn't do too much in the first season. In the comics, Black Noir is a very big part of the Boys. And they brought in Stormfront, and I thought that Black Noir was going to do quite a ton in season 2. And then the Stormfront stuff started coming out, and I'm like, oh, are they going to shift focus away? Everything that I've read said that, and all the actors too have stated in like whatever the at-home thing for Comic-Con was, that Black Noir, if you think you know him or you think everybody else is going to have a light to shine in season 2, Black Noir is going to take the cake. And I think it's kind of cool how they're going to do Black Noir, Stormfront. Stormfront's kind of keeping Homelander in check, bigger picture it looks like. They're kind of like begrudgingly friends. But the cool thing with Black Noir is like you really start to see in the very first trailer they put out, where he walks into that foreign bad guy's lair and basically kills him, rips his head off, and then walks by the kid in the bed and like gives him the shh and like puts it down. Like, you can kind of tell that Black Noir is going to be a badass in this, man, like a crazy badass.
That is one part. In the comics, he actually did something completely different to that kid.
Yeah.
It was a little bit over the top in the comics. So
Black Noir is a real bad guy in that. So how would it be being the fucking actor that plays Black Noir? When they were like, hey, here's the source material. Check it out. Read these comics. You're going to be Black Noir. Do I talk? You don't talk. You're in a suit the whole time, but you're going to be, all right, cool. It's day 2 of reading the comic. I'm not fucking playing this guy. Do you know what he does in the I'm not doing that. They're like, don't worry.
Not to explain exactly what happened, but just picture Epstein Island. You kind of start to get an idea.
Right, exactly.
That's a fair way of putting it. What do you think the deal? I like the way they've tormented the Deep even further. He's I mean, whatever the motor on that boat was that rammed into that whale, that's powerful. That must be like that's a Rolls Royce or something.
Maybe it's like a special boys, like, you know how Batman has the Batmobile? They've got like the boys boat, but it just looks like a bass boat, and they're like, to the boys boat. And there's no way it was going, 90 miles an hour to go through a whale, but I don't give a shit. It's going to be amazing.
They reinforced all of the framework just in case they had to plow through a giant whale.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, actually, did you guys know when I watched the Comic-Con panel, so in that scene in the trailer where you see Butcher driving and everybody in the boat, that's all legit. There were no stunt drivers. There was no stunt anybody. They literally let the actor that plays the Butcher actually drive the boat, and the rest of the crew was like scared shitless because they're doing like 60 miles an hour, and he's going all out. He's not, whatever. And I think Huey's character, the actor that played Huey, threw up. It seemed pretty nuts.
When the Deep's like kind of hugging and pushing himself up there and kind of kissing his skin, what does he say there? He says like, "I'm gonna harvest your blubber," or
yeah, he's basically saying like, "It's okay, I'll make sure that I harvest your blubber. Like, you won't go to waste." Oh God, they do such a good job of making you fucking hate the Deep, but you hate him because he's a douche and he did some horrible shit in season 1. But then you kind of look at him and go like, "Ah, he's just an idiot. That sucks."
Just a sad sack.
And that brings up a good point. So you see throughout the latest trailer that that it looks like A-Train and the Deep are sitting at a table, and you can kind of see an expression on their face. And obviously, with editing in the trailer, you don't know, but there's an expression on their face, kind of like they're hesitant about whatever's going on. So I'm thinking maybe they find out what's really happening, right? Because the bigger picture here is that Stormfront and well, first off, not even Stormfront, but Homelander really wants to become like the world police, right? And he helped give the V to all the bad guys. So I think Stormfront wants to help him do that and further that agenda. And you know, I don't think all the boys agree with it, right?
So so Homefront is apparently
Homefront?
the father.
Homefront? I don't know who Homefront is, but Stormfront.
Homefront.
Stormfront. Are we on Stormfront?
No, I'm on Homelander.
Homelander. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. Homefront, Storm. How about Stormlander?
Stormlander.
And Homefront. Oh, that's it.
So
Stormlander.
So with Homelander, so he is the father of the child with Billy Butcher's ex-wife, whatever the situation is. But there's also a scene in the trailer where he's like on top of a roof throwing somebody off. I thought it looked like a kid. I haven't paused the scene.
Oh yeah, it's kid.
Is that his kid then? He threw his kid.
Yeah, so you can kind of tell he's on the roof of the house, and what it seems to me is that he's kind of like trying to raise this kid and being like, "I'm your dad, and you have superpowers." And I kind of see it happening where he probably takes up on the roof, and he's like, "You know, you can fly," and he's like, "I can't fly," and he's like, "You're also indestructible," and he's like, "No, I'm not."
So wait, so this is like a version of a dad teaching his kid to play catch,
or ride a bike, or any of that.
Yeah. So that's what it was one of two things, right? He's either testing them like, you know, fly, little birdie, or it was like, I ain't paying no fucking child support, you know.
Or that's just his punishment. Like, maybe we're all wrong, and he's like, "What do you mean you didn't do your homework?" And then he goes up on the roof, and he's like, "See that down there? This is what'll happen if you don't do your homework." And he throws them out. I don't know.
All right. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. So what do you think, Billy Butcher? I mean, he wants his wife back, is what he's saying, but I don't know. At this point, I mean, I get the obsession, but I'd go ahead and let that ship sail, man. Like,
yeah, but he can't though. He can't though, because he feels that he's, no matter what is said in the first season, even after you see the video that they show Butcher, that she goes into the room willingly and comes out kind of willingly, and then you have Homelander tell him at the end, like, I didn't force her to do. Oh, you thought I raped her? Like, no, I didn't. She did that because she wanted to. Now, we don't know all the details, but on the other hand, too, I don't think Butcher's going to believe that she did it voluntarily. He's still on her side. Even if she did cheat on him, he loves her so much, I think he's willing to do whatever it takes to get her back, even if she did cheat on him.
That's starting to make a little sense, right? I mean, Homelander's got to be wealthy. I mean, he's the world's most popular superhero and most powerful. And what was Billy Butcher, like a bus driver or some shit? What was he before this?
He was a CIA or a cop or something. He was an agent. He was some kind of agent.
Pretty sure he's an agent, yeah, of some sort. I don't know.
He was a bus driver. Yeah. He worked down at Foot Locker. He was in the ladies' department.
Him and Al Bundy worked at the Foot Locker.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where he got all his cool fighting skills. I mean, he was like fighting off, ladies and gentlemen that come in and like want to,
fighting off the ladies that are trying to put a size 6 and a size 7, or size 7 and a size 6.
So so basically, I think they're doing a really good job kind of setting up season 2. I really hope they do bring in a lot of other characters and whatnot. I do see though that at the end of season 1, you've got Starlight, who is kind of rebelling against, but she's still with him, and she refuses to wear the suit, the slutty kind of revealing suit. She's wearing that shit through every trailer in season 2. So I'm curious what happens with her. Like, how do they get her to stay on board? Or maybe they don't. Maybe she's working with Huey, right? Like, obviously, she's probably helping the boys out, but she's going along with it, right?
Yeah. That's what I think.
You know what it is?
It's background information.
It's dinero, man. It's money. There's a really quick little clip somewhere that she's on a big billboard, and I don't know what the product placement was, but it's like a full shot of her laying down in like a modeling pose. That's why she
does money. She loses all of her morals, and she's like, "Fuck it."
I didn't realize how much this
if
shit
people want to
pays.
see me in a bikini, I mean, You give me $1 million, $2 million, I'll take
Mike,
pictures in bikinis all over the place.
Mike, I'll pay you that much just to not do it, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
100%.
I'll take the dough anyway, whichever way I get it. I know maybe the main beats of the plot are like build up the superhero army as the world police and go after terrorists. Well, the terrorists are really the boys, but then there's also foreign terrorist sort of influences. Like, so that seems like the main plot line of what's kind of going on. But kind of a brilliant job of the. I mean, I don't know. I'm probably just geeking out over the whole thing too much, just because the trailers and the whole show is so good. But you don't really know like what's the real plot line of this and who's the main nemesis, and you know.
I think it's like this, right? So Homelander is this guy that can't be killed, he can't be touched, he's never been fucked with, right? And he loses the mother figure that he has, right? And so now he's kind of crazy, and he helped get the V out there to make all these other bad super villains across the world. I think he's just bored. And he's like, at this point, he's like, fuck it, nothing can hurt or kill me. I'm going to stir it up, and I'm going to go fight some bad guys. And I think he's just at the point where he's like, nothing else is going to harm me, nothing else is fun. Let's throw this shit up there and see what we got.
Plus, he's a dick, too.
He's got like the One Punch Man syndrome, except he's a dick.
Exactly. Exactly. And he's a dick.
Yeah.
Or he's just a dick, yeah.
I'm curious to find out if the boys are going to take the Compound V or not, because to me that's one of the big questions, because I know in the comic they at least kind of they turned out to have to use it to be able to compete somewhat, but they've changed a couple of things around with the way that this series is going. So I could see it going a perfectly fine way if they just keep it going with like they're just outsmarting them all along the way and don't even need to use that stuff. I almost see it on principle that they may not want to, but I know
that's
it is
the charm
the
of it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It actually would be pretty cool if they just kept it like that, right? I mean, they got rid of Translucent. They start killing more soups, and that's
which
a pretty
goes
cool way to
against
keep
everything I believe in, right? Because if you know me and you've listened to any Because Nerd or anything, I fucking hate Batman. And the reason I hate Batman is in a world by himself, he is just fine with the Riddler and the Joker, and he's a normal guy and he's a karate expert. That's awesome. But to say that he's so smart that he outsmarts Superman, it's like I never bought it. But The Boys is making me kind of contradict myself, because I'm like, it would be really cool if they never got Compound V and they just kept outsmarting the heroes, in which case that's also what Batman does, and I'd have to shut up, but I'll never shut up. Fuck Batman.
Okay, you guys go ahead. I'm good.
There's plenty more Because Nerd where that came from. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to our channel. We got a whole lot more coming.